Well, we interrupt this program to bring you news of the Great Flood, which is happening all around us at the moment. This is the start of June, and we're getting some pretty wet weather. This is the Parramatta River. Greetings from sunny Sydney. Well, actually not so sunny lately. People seem to think that Sydney is, you know, sort of hot, dry land, deserts and scrub, and for a lot of the year it is. But every now and again, God gets really angry with us for, I think he's punishing us for the gay and lesbian Mardi Gras that's held every February. And just recently we've undergone some very serious floods, cost billions of dollars. I thought I'd sort of change tack a little bit. I mean, I promised you that this next video was going to be part 2 of the Abraham story, but I've decided, in view of the flood we've just experienced, and because of something that appeared on the National Geographic channel last week, I thought I'll interrupt everything and I'll tell you a little bit about Noah's Ark. Remember that story? You know, about how God got angry with everybody because they were disobedient or something like that. And then this all loving, you know, caring God decided to drown everybody, including innocent women and children and babies and all the animals. He thought, oh, to hell with it. To hell with all of them. I'll drown the whole lot of them. I don't give a damn. So that's what he did. And one family, there's an old drunk called Noah. And this God thing said, well, you know, I'll save you because although you're a bit of a drunkard, you know, you're not a homosexual, and you don't do dope or, you know, cocaine or anything. I'll save you and your family. And that's what happened. And, you know, Noah was given a year in which to build an ark. It was measured in cubics. I don't know if you know what a cubic is. It's the length of a man's forearm. They didn't have any such thing as mathematics in those days. And this ark was supposed to be twice the size of the average football field. So it was pretty big, pretty big. But then when you consider that he had to upload dinosaurs and giraffes and elephants and rhinoceros, all the rest of it, you know, it had to be pretty big to make room for everybody. It's that Kelly Wild again, ain't it?
Yes, I believe it is. Kelly Wild.
What's he on about this time?
He seems to be talking about the Great Flood and Noah and dinosaurs.
He's a bit of a dinosaur himself, ain't he?
Now, no need to be so rude.
Yes, there is. He gives me the shits.
Well, you'll just have to get used to it, because he's doing no one any harm.
He is. He's doing my head in. Now, this National Geographic program I was telling you about, it features an Aussie bloke called Ken Ham. And to my way of thinking, he's a complete moron. He insists that the world is only 6,000 years old and that dinosaurs existed at the same time as man. In fact, I believe in his museum, or whatever it is he's created, his gallery, he actually has models of children riding on the backs of dinosaurs. I'm not sure about that, but I seem to remember seeing that. Now, what he's decided to do in order to prove the existence of Noah's Ark, in actual fact what he does is the exact opposite. He's building this monstrosity to resemble what he thinks Noah's Ark must have looked like. Where he got the blueprints from, I've no idea. And you can be quite certain it took a long time to draw this thing up. Noah was given 1 year, approximately, by God to build this thing. He, his 3 sons, and their wives. Now, the wives were probably busy cooking and doing other things, but so the chances are there were just 4 men, none of whom were carpenters, none of whom knew anything about shipbuilding. They had 1 year in which to build this massive ark, you know, big enough to house hippopotamus and dinosaurs and elephants and all sorts. And that's not even mentioning the time it took to gather all these animals together, you know, sort of racing off to, that sound you can hear, that's my doggy scratching. I wonder if he was on board the Ark. His grandfather probably was. You know, it must have taken quite a while to zoom up to the Arctic and gather all the polar bears, and then zoom down to Australia, gather a few kangaroos and wombats and wallabies and, you know, lesser spotted this and that. Anyway, cut a long story short, Ken Ham is building this thing. It's nearly completed, and it's you know, it's quite something to look at. But in order to build it, he had hundreds of volunteers helping him. And here's the thing: they started off with finished timber. Now, I'm asking you, how long do you think it took 4 men to cut down one big cedar tree? I'm assuming it was probably cedar because they were prolific in that area. Cut down that one tree and then neatly slice it into planks. And bearing in mind all they had were the crudest possible instruments. According to the Bible, the ancient Hebrews didn't even have iron. That's a long story. I'll tell you about that another time, about how God's army was defeated by the Hills people because the Hill people had chariots of iron while the Hebrews only had chariots of wood. That's a long story. So chances are Noah and his family didn't even have iron tools. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say they had a few chisels and hammers and you know, axes of some kind. Just imagine how long it would have taken to not only cut a massive tree down, but then neatly slice it into neat, perfectly fitting planks. It would have taken the best part of a year to just deal with one tree. But anyway, Ken Ham bought, you know, hundreds, thousands probably of finished planks, finished timber, and then he had access to all the latest power tools and hundreds of volunteers operating these power tools, and it's taken him almost a year to get this far with all those advantages. So we'll take a look at this this National Geographic program, and then you make up your own mind whether or not Ken Ham has proven that an ark could possibly have existed, or whether he's proved the exact opposite. I think this dingaling has proved, not that any proof was needed, that it couldn't possibly have been achieved with just four men with primitive tools and no finished wood. You make up your own minds. I'll catch up with you in a minute.